Unfortunately, our industry is not regulated enough, which is the reason actually I wanted to do this seminar, is to get the information out there so people make the right decisions. I don't mind what company you choose to do your website, as long as you've asked the right questions, because we get a lot of phone calls from companies coming to us and going, oh, this is stuffed up, we're not ranking anymore, we've been blacklisted, or, you know, we had rankings for 8 years, but now we have nothing. I'm sick of getting those phone calls. It's really bad for those companies. The opportunity cost and the cost of their business is really high, and this is really the main reason for the seminar, from my point of view. So this is an example of a company in Sydney. They were actually making a lot of guarantees. So they were saying, we'll guarantee you to rank in the organic area of Google, which they're not allowed to do according to Google. Google actually put out a statement, and Google said that no one is allowed to guarantee rankings in Google. No one's even allowed to guarantee a place in the ads. So even if you're paying for an ad, there's no guarantee you'll be top of the ads. And that makes sense, because someone could come in the next day and pay more than you. If they're paying more than you, they're going to be on top of you. So that's something to keep in mind, because there are a lot of players in our industry. They'll guarantee you rankings, and if someone is doing that, run away, because it's not in line with Google. There's a few articles in here about how online advertising has grown. A lot of people are scared of online. Commonly we hear, well, we've always advertised in the paper, or we've always advertised radio, or we've always advertised yellow pages. Really, that's fine, but if it works, that's great. But if you're not analysing the return on investment, because the next question I'd ask would be, well, are you getting business from it? If you're saying, I don't know, then maybe you need to start considering online where it's at, where everyone's really searching nowadays. The other thing I thought was interesting is I saw this article about fair trading. So as I mentioned, our industry is not regulated enough. There's a lot of companies out there that say that they're doing SEO, and you can't really quantify what SEO is. What is search engine optimization? What exactly are they doing for the money that I'm giving them? It's really sealed. It's really quite not transparent enough. So I've actually got a few examples in there of what you can look for. So really, you want to consider outsourcing as one of the recommendations we make, unless you're really, really tiny. Because if you don't outsource, you could make a mistake with it internally. If you do something that's black hat, you could penalise your whole website. You also want to consider outsourcing because you don't have the resources to keep up with Google and what's changing all the time. To give you an idea, we've got 350 staff, and we've got a 50-staff team dedicated to Google R&D. So all the changes that happen, and we've got 24-hour monitoring on sites to make sure that if something changes, we change what we're doing. And that's one of the things that you really need if you're going to keep up in the competitive industry. I put a couple of brochures in your pack, so if you need to compare providers, there's some of the things to look out for. Like I said, we really want to put the warning out there because we get a lot of people call and have had things go wrong. So just know that in our industry, it's not easy. It's not comparing an apple with an apple. You know, there's some providers out there that will give you hacker insurance and 24-hour support. Some that will just leave you, and if you get hacked, you have to pay by the hour to fix it. So there's a lot of things to look out for when you're choosing a provider in digital space. So the thing that you want to keep in mind is if you don't choose the right provider, you've got an opportunity cost. Either you might not rank at all, which is a huge opportunity cost. You might rank a little, but not as much as you could have, which is an opportunity cost. Or you might choose the right provider and you get exactly what you need. So there's a few things to look for. I'm not going to go through this because it's too salesy. So this is in your packs there. It's just really how you can compare providers. And also what I want to say really is at the end of the day, you could say, I want a car. But the difference between this car in terms of how it drives and looks compared to that car and the features are completely different. It's the same with the web. So you can get a website for $500, but the stuff that you're missing out on is completely different. Is this your car, Nathan?
No, so
Nothing wrong with it. It looks shiny and new, but it doesn't go as fast as you need. So if your aim as your business is to go Formula 1 driving, this is not going to get you winning any races. But if you don't want to win any Formula 1 races, you just want to get from A to B, this would be perfect. So I've got some questionnaires in your packs there about what you can ask a provider. So you're asking the right questions, because you don't know what you don't know. You know, I go to buy a fridge, I don't know that I can get an ice maker that's plugged in or not plugged in, or there's these features, or if I'm going to buy a car, I don't know, the difference between, certain cars and performance and literage and what sort of petrol and all that sort of thing. So you don't know what you don't know. So these are the questions here to ask to really make sure that you get the right provider. So the things that I would ask is really the business credentials, because if you're partnering with a developer, you want it to be a long-term partnership. If they build your website and everything and they build it in a bespoke framework, then they go broke next year, you're stuck. You know, you've got to either rebuild that site or do something with the site. The other thing you want to ask as well is, do you actually rank in Google yourself? And can you show me some examples of your clients that are ranking? Because if you're in a competitive space, and like I said, you're competing with millions of others to get to the top of Google, and this company hasn't got any proof, then how do you know it's going to work? The other thing I would ask is sort of how they actually develop a website. I can't tell you how many websites I've seen that have been 15, 20 grand, and you go to the website, and as soon as you go in there, like things don't work. Like there's buttons or images that aren't showing, or text is not viewable for accessibility for disabled people. There's a lot of things that don't work with the site, and also the amount of sites actually get hacked. So it's really important to make sure that you understand what that's about, and that'll happen when we go through web development. The other thing you want to consider as well is how is it going to be supported? So it's great if they just chuck you off with standard hosting, but what happens if the site goes down? Who do you call? You know, and if the site is down, and say you're an e-commerce site, how much money is that going to cost you for it to go down? And what does it say about your business if someone comes through and your website says unable to display? And the other things you want to ask as well is whether you're actually getting hacker insurance and support and monitoring, so that if anything happens with your site, you don't lose data. Especially if you're an e-commerce site, or you've got any sort of confidential information through there. If someone hacks in and steals that, it can be quite painful. And also you want to ask sort of what after-hours support you'll get, who you'll be dealing with, etc. So overall, do your homework. So there's a couple of question things in there that you can use to do that. Buyer beware. If the promises seem too good to be true, they usually are. And is the cheapest price what you really want? It might be, which is fine. Google is really, really competitive. So one of the questions I would say is, you know, does it make sense that the cheapest investment will have you competing across, you know, on top of millions and millions of websites, if all those millions of websites are also investing in this as well? And as Google changes its algorithm pretty much daily, if you pay a small fee, will that provider you're dealing with, will they actually make sure that every day you're ranking? Or will they just get you up there, set and forget, and then you fall down? So there's a few good questions to ask. There's a brochure in your packs as well about some of the risks of choosing the wrong provider, because we've seen it all. Making a mistake, security risks, black hat risks. So if you choose a provider that does something black hat with Google, you could get penalised, and then you've got to deal with that. Once you're penalised, or once your website's hacked, it can take 8 months to get your rankings back. We've seen that a lot. And you could have service issues. You could miss out, like I said, that opportunity cost that you're unaware of. So how you compare SEO providers, this might help a little bit. I can use our product as a bit of an example, the web magnet. What we do in terms of SEO is more than SEO. So it's not just making your website rank, it's a whole gamut of things behind the scenes. So some of the factors that you could consider is content. So we make sure that we do copywriting to make sure that the website's attractive to Google. The design, the actual design of the website affects how Google looks at your site. The development's making sure that it's fast to download and it displays well. The hardware, so making sure that the servers are up all the time. We have a 99.9% guarantee because Google likes the website to be up. And also the software, so making sure that you're monitoring for ranking changes, you're monitoring for any defacement or security issues with your site. So really what most people don't realise is it's not just on-site factors for SEO, it's also off-site. So how your website's hosted, how it's secured, all of the things behind the scenes affect your rankings as well. It's not just the front-end stuff. So that's really some of the things to look at. The other thing that we look at is not just that your website ranks, but it actually converts. So that's another thing to ask your provider. So they might come to you with this beautiful, pretty report and it says, you're ranking for blue frogs, you're number 1 for blue frogs, but you don't sell blue frogs. So it's absolutely useless to you. So you want to make sure that whatever you're ranking for actually achieves goals, whether it be inquiries, purchases, lower bounce rates, people spending time on the site are really engaging with you. It doesn't matter if you're actually selling something or if you're government or education bodies. It's all about getting people to do something when they're at the site. So some of the things that we do to increase conversion is we have clear call to actions on the website. So when you come through, there's at least 3 main messages. You know, fill out an inquiry form, get a quote, whatever it is. Prominent buttons, so making it really easy to find what you need. I don't know how many websites I've gone to and I can't find how the hell to contact them. It's really frustrating. So it's one of the best things to do. Also, we do a layout based on eye movement, so making sure that things are placed in, you know, easy, logical order. And having professional copywriting, you know, all the clear headings, the things that people need.